The WNBA crazy-ass lesbian old guard fought it tooth and nail. I mean, they didn't like little white Midwestern straight girl coming into their league and getting attention. They were mad. They're angry. Harumph, 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 red rump, red rump. But guess what? Goodness and talent and ability and style and competitiveness and straight being a stud won out. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about Caitlin Clark. And I'm talking about money. That's right, dinero, mucho dinero. We used to call it moolah, whatever you wanted to call it. It's called money, and money talks. And as we know, BS walks. So the BS of the old crazy lesbian guard, the angry lesbians, well, they're happy today. Why? Let me tell you why they're happy. The WNBA is set to quadruple its revenue with a new $2.2 billion deal. They went from 1% of the NBA's TV deal to 3%. Oh, they're still piggybacking. Of course they are. And if Caitlin Clark gets hurt, it probably all goes away. Will the jealous, crazy, lesbian old guard of the WNBA finally give Caitlin Clark the respect she deserves? They got to. They must. They have to. What are you talking about? Because they're going to line their pockets just like they got their big fat asses onto bigger, more spread out first-class seats by flying charter. Why? Caitlin Clark. Why are we talking about the WNBA right now? Caitlin Clark. Why is anybody interested in Angel Reese, who last night showed her ass to everybody? Caitlin Clark. That's it. And it's weird. And I have asked questions over and over. How did this Caitlin Clark thing happen? I don't know. But everybody is reaping the benefits. Ratings for this show through the roof when we talk about guess who? Caitlin Clark. Now, I'm just saying. Now, the crazy old lesbians have fought it tooth and nail. They haven't liked it. They've been angry. But they got to accept a couple of things, and I'm going to go through them. One, she's made everybody a lot of money. The great Lynn Dunn, the general manager, president of the Indiana Fever, said it on my Indianapolis show, a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's exactly what Caitlin Clark has done. But there's still a little flaw here. Still just a skosh of a flaw. I'm going to get to that right now, the Olympic team. When you watch Caitlin Clark play, and I had the opportunity to do so on Friday, you see someone different. You see someone whose head is totally up, has control of the basketball, who plays like a dude point guard. Period. And frankly, it's surprising that she scores so much given how she's always looking to give the ball up. Well, Wednesday night, in a loss, a bad loss actually, against the Dallas Wings, she turned in a historic performance, 29 points. Okay, that's her career high. 24 points, 19 assists for a new WNBA record. 19 assists. Now, honest to God, that's pretty good. Now, that's really good. And I'm going to give you the reasons as I thought about Caitlin Clark not being on the Olympic team, why she should be and why she shouldn't be. She also threw in 6 rebounds as well. Now, she was snubbed by the Olympic team, okay? But I'm going to tell you why. And it's kind of interesting if you think about it. We are all focused on Caitlin Clark every single day. Angel Reese is trying hard, and now she's taken to, I don't know whether she's holding hands with her girlfriend, showing her ass in tight jeans in public. I don't know. I don't care. But with Caitlin Clark not on the Olympic team and, well, women's basketball somewhat exploding because of Caitlin Clark, you're going to eliminate the one that's making it explode and showcase ones that you hope can help make it explode. By not having Caitlin Clark on the Olympic team, the United States Women's Olympic Committee is hoping against hope that the world will focus on other women. Caitlin Clark's always going to be here. If you can bring other women to her level, then you've really got it going. That's the only reason I can figure that Caitlin Clark wasn't on the Olympic team, certainly after watching her in person. But I also told you this, and this was the easiest call ever. When I said that by the end of the season, Caitlin Clark would be in the conversation for not only Rookie of the Year, which she blowing away all competition, but MVP, Most Valuable Player. Well, guess what's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Caitlin Clark, as I told you would happen, has moved from 9th on the gambling markets to 3rd in the gambling markets for the most valuable player of the WNBA, despite the fact that her team is under 500 and has inexcusable losses like last night to the worst team in the league, the Dallas Wings. Doesn't matter. Ray Charles can see, hey, look, wait a second, this woman is incredibly valuable, not only to the league financially, and I'll get to that in a second, but also to her team in raising them from a 13-win team last year and 2 years in a row being bad enough to have the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft to already having 11 wins. Now, I told you this was going to happen, and it's happening. Now, she's not going to win. No, unless A'ja Wilson does something incredibly immature and stupid, and every time I watch her speak, I think, my God, is this an immature, stupid woman? But she's a really good player. But no, A'ja Wilson is apparently, according to all, the best player in the world. All right, fine. But I told you she was going to move up the most valuable player ranks because she's that good. Now, back to the finances. There's a guy named Mike Vorkunov. He's with The Athletic. So take it all with a grain of salt. The WNBA, according to Vorkunov, people get mad at me because I mispronounce names. I kind of do it on purpose sometimes. The WNBA is set to receive $2.2 billion with a B, over the course of the NBA's recently approved 11-year media rights deal, which will go into effect during the 25-26 season. And just like the NBA, the WNBA will have game packages with Disney, NBC, Amazon, although it remains to be seen whether Warner Brothers Discovery will be successful in exercising its matching rights. That's the TNT version. That's Charles Barkley. That's not the women, that's the dudes. And if they do match the rights, maybe they're going to have to put Barkley and Kenny et al. In front of us during WNBA games. The WNBA's portion of the deal will pay the league an average of $200 million per team. Vorkunov reports that there is an opening to earn more over that period. He also reports there is an agreement between the league and the media partners to revisit the rights deals with good faith talks after 3 years that could reprice them to reflect the league's growth. I wonder if there's something in there where if Caitlin Clark leaves and the league goes into crapper where it's been for 27 years, these rights partners get to renegotiate down. Because if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'm looking at this going, yo, big three. Hey, Ice Cube, still available? I'm using leverage. She's got leverage. The WNBA's new deal marks a significant increase from the $50 million annually it currently receives via partnerships with Disney, ION, CBS, and Amazon. The league also expects that it will sell 2 other rights packages in addition to the ones it has already agreed to, which could bring in an additional $60 million annually. Angry lesbians, angry straight women, angry old women of the WNBA, the old guard, as Michael Thompson called them. How about you start shutting the hell up? How about you start being smart enough to understand that Caitlin Clark has made you all a ton of green? And if that golden goose goes away, y'all are back to being angry and dating each other. And nobody's going to care. At least she threw the pass to her girlfriend. Still amazes me. Well, she just hit her fiance with a pass for a layup. Still amazes me. Only place in America where you could be stooping a coworker and everybody's happy about it. It's the only place. It's astounding to me, and I love it. I do. I love it. So Caitlin Clark, you go, girl. Caitlin Clark, you keep doing your thing, and you old angry ones, start shutting up. Go buy yourself a Porsche. Get yourself a nose ring. Get some blue, purple, and red and green and rainbow hair. And celebrate the little straight white girl who's getting it all done for you. Hey, speaking of that, the owner of the Warriors, a guy named John Lacombe, explains why the franchise won't just trade the team's young talent in order to win now for Steph Curry. because they don't think their young talent's good enough to get enough to win now for Steph Curry. What you should have done is got rid of Draymond Green a few years ago, but I digress. The dude destroyed your team. He became a media guy. You can all say the right things, but he's a pain in the prick, as my father used to say. It's an interview with some guy named Marcus. Marcus, you're assuming that by trading all of your emerging young players, potentially young stars, that you're going to get better. We run analytical models on all that stuff. We will make the deal that makes us better. He's right. He's absolutely right. We look at the short term and the immediate term and to some extent long term as well. That's a factor. See, media guy asks a question and doesn't really know. He's just asking a question because media NBA guy, if he's an African-American, wants to get down with the players. If he's a white dude, he's scared to death of being called a racist, so he's got to kiss ass. It's the way the NBA media is rolling these days. Anyway, we have an incredibly complex model these guys run about how good we will be. And it's not everything what the press writes all the time. It's not even close. I mean, what teams do is not even close to what gets written. Not even close. And these media guys couldn't understand it if they did it. It's not everything what the press writes all the time or what people say on the internet blogs. So we're very aware of that. And you can't make a trade that makes you worse and then expect to get better. You want to be as great as we possibly can. The caveat is that we can't bankrupt the team in an unbelievably dumb way for a decade. You can't bankrupt the entire team's future to go for 1 year because it's very, very hard to win. Boy, is he right. I mean, you got to have everybody talented enough, everybody accepting of roles enough, and you got to have your stars being stars, and then you got to have everybody in the building pushing in the same direction. And that's incredibly difficult. Even if we have the best team, you can sustain an injury. It's usually what happens. Someone else wins. True. It's true. This is smart. This owner is giving you a little insight into how things actually work. Like, people think that teams do what fans do, what bloggers do, what media does. Get together, say, you know, it'd be a good move. Here's what would be a good move. So-and-so and so-and-so for so-and-so and such and such. It would make you younger. It would be able to win now, blah, 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 blah. But what teams do is they run the analytics, the algorithms on those type of deals, on every type of deal. And then they draw their own conclusions. This isn't three fat guys with stogies sitting in the back room talking about a deal. This isn't you on your Stratomatic baseball making deals, or you with your baseball card saying, I'll trade you a Dave Kingman and a George Orta, ooh, wait a second, for an Orlando Cepeda. Ooh, that's a good deal. Nah, this is analytics driven. So shut up about trades. You don't know. You can't know. You'll never know, media people. You can't. You've never been inside there. No chance you know. But I will say this, it's sad what happened to Golden State. And it isn't Steph Curry getting old. It isn't Klay Thompson getting bad. It's a collective drain put on that organization by Draymond Green. Everybody can say it's not. Say whatever you want, but I'm an expert on this stuff. I am. I'm a basketball body language team expert. A savant, if you will. And I got to tell you, when I look at that team, they've had enough of Draymond Green. They just have. Klay Thompson wasn't coming back. Sure, they can make it about salary. Sure, everybody's in CYA mode. Cover your ass. We've seen it in the government lately, have we not? Anyway, but the truth of the matter is they are exhausted about Draymond Green. I can see it as clear as the big fat nose on my big fat bald head. They're tired. He's wore the organization out. Young guys, he doesn't want to prosper because he's a selfish punk. That's the bottom line. Believe it, don't believe it, what do I got to say? Tiger Woods tells the BBC he was glued to the coverage surrounding the Donald Trump assassination attempt as it unfolded, while he was 30 feet in the air en route to Scotland, and shared that it has certainly impacted the Open Championship prep that he usually has. He said, hey, I didn't accomplish a lot because I wasn't in the right frame of mind. It was a long night. And that's all we watched the entire time on the way over here. I didn't sleep at all on the flight. And then we just got on the golf course. Poor Tiger. Oh, the Gulf Stream didn't let you sleep. The 747 that you ran, it didn't let you sleep. Aw. Sad about that. Come on, Tiger. Look, I got to tell you something. If I were at that level, I've had people come up to me and try to start fights. I kind of like it. But if I were at the Tiger Woods level and I see an assassination and I see what's going on, it'd make me a little nervous personally. I don't assume. I know he has, police or whatever, security. But I'm just saying, things happen to be copycatted in this country. There was a time a guy my age, or even a little bit older, maybe a little bit older, can remember a bunch of assassination attempts. Remember George Wallace? We all talk about the Kennedy brothers. Certainly we talk about Reagan. Absolutely John Lennon. I mean, there was a time when a lot of people were getting assassination attempts. And I would sit there, if I were a real public figure like a Tiger Woods or other politicians, I'd be like, hey, man, there's so much hate and stupid out there. I got to worry about it. Now, I don't know if that's what Tiger Woods was worried about. I mean, I'm sure Tiger Woods is friends and has golfed with Donald Trump and doesn't want anybody to know because, like most, he's chicken blank. And he's got to sell shoes to Republicans and Democrats alike. But if I were Tiger Woods, man, I would be, You know that song, Things That Make You Go, Things That Make You Go, Things That Make You Go, I like that song. I do. That's what it would do for me if I were Tiger Woods or a real public figure or a politician. Oh, man. Don't fix games. Now, let me say it again. It's one thing to sit in the locker room, get your FanDuel or your DraftKings account out, and you're sitting there and you're betting on Duke, North Carolina, like Isaiah Rodgers Jr. for the Colts and get suspended for a year. That's monumentally stupid. Everybody knows, don't bet in the building. Go across the street to the McDonald's. Go home. You want to put a little something on DraftKings or FanDuel on your favorite hoops game, and you are a professional football player, go ahead. But do it at home. But don't bet on your own team. Jontay Porter Jr., brother of Michael Porter Jr. Listen to this. So Jontay Porter Jr., about a week ago, he pled guilty to conspiracy. I've never heard of Jontay Porter Jr., by the way, but now I do, to commit wire fraud. Jontay Porter Jr. wants to go play basketball. He's got an opportunity to play in Greece. He asked a federal judge if he could move to Greece to continue playing basketball. His career, his banishment, ended in the NBA on April 17th. Got to make a living. Dude's young. He was issued a lifetime ban for gambling. The punishment stemmed from a scheme that led to his federal charges. That scheme was he bet on himself, under half of a made three, over, under, that kind of thing. A court filing on Tuesday, listen to this. I'm going to tell you why Greece in particular. A court filing on Tuesday says attorneys asked to modify Porter's release so he could play in Greece. In court last week, Porter said he agreed to withdraw early from games to get out from under large gambling debts so he and co-conspirators could win bets on his performance. Porter received a lifetime ban April 17th after the NBA found in an investigation he had discussed confidential information to sports bettors and bet on games in violation of league rules. The league prohibits players from betting on the league or any of its properties. Well, Porter going to Greece was actually approved at the local level. The federal level said no. I'll tell you why. I've told you this about a good friend of mine. A guy taught me how to shoot a jump shot. He got arrested. He got convicted in federal court. Voter fraud in Northwest Indiana. There's all the papers. Day before he was to be sentenced, he took off for Greece. Greece does not extradite back to the United States. Interpol won't touch you if you are a Greek citizen in Greece. They won't extradite you. Now, nobody knew that Frankie Kalensis, my friend, had gotten himself Greek citizenship, was sending money over, and now lives in Greece and has for probably 10, 15 years, however long it's been. If I'm the feds, I'm not letting Jontay Porter go to Greece. Why? What I just said. They don't extradite. They will not go in. And who knows if Jontay Porter has another passport that has Greek citizen attached to it. I don't know. You don't know. The feds didn't know about Frankie Kalensis. I'm not letting him go. Now, sad for Porter, young kid, got it over his head gambling, made terrible decisions, but he's got to earn a living. But they're not letting him go, and I don't blame him. I know he just had a kid, too. That further complicates. Dick Vermeil said it very well to Indiana University's men's basketball team back in the mid-'90s. Don't complicate winning, period. I use it for my life. Don't complicate living, period. CNN contributor and somehow, someway ESPN failed analyst Bakari Sellers, in a totally and completely full of shit, tweeted out the biggest lie yesterday just to pander to Democrats and President Biden. But after night 3 of the Republican National Convention, CNN's current projections showing the former president winning by a potential landslide at 330 votes. Here is what Bakari Sellers had to say. Crime down, inflation down, border crosses down, market high, crazy how far Joe Biden has brought us. Really? Crime doesn't get reported in big cities. Now, 30% of the country doesn't report their crime statistics. Inflation is way up. I mean, it's down from where Joe Biden put it. It's down from like the record high, but it's not where it was when Trump was in office. Border crossings are through the roof. That's just an idiotic statement by a dumb man. Market, hey, I'm going to give Joe Biden this. 401k doing all right. Nah, it is, man. I'm just saying. But it's all insanity. It's all craziness. Here's a little bit of a response to that. Go ahead.
But this is our current CNN projection of where we are now. And look at this. If Donald Trump won what we have here, dark red states, solid Republican. Light red states, leaning Republican. If he won just those right there, he would already have the path to 270. He would have 272 electoral votes. Look what is different. We have Wisconsin as a toss-up. We have Pennsylvania as a toss-up, 2 critical states for Joe Biden. Michigan right now, another critical state for Biden, leaning Republican. Georgia, a state Biden flipped, leaning Republican. Arizona, a toss-up state. That was a state Biden flipped. Nevada, a state he won, leaning Republican. This is the dire strait for Joe Biden right now on the first night of the Republican convention. Tomorrow is 16 weeks to Election Day. 16 weeks from tomorrow, we count the votes. It is tough to change a map like this in that amount of time. And here's why Democrats are so worried, why so many Democrats are saying, Mr. President, please reconsider and get out of this race. Because right now, Trump is leading here. And Trump is leading here, narrowly, but he's ahead in those states. Trump is leading here. That's 312 electoral votes. Trump is leading in this Nebraska congressional district. Let me change it that way. Nebraska does it by congressional district. That's 313 electoral votes. And Democrats are warning that Trump may not be well ahead. It may still be margin of error. It might be a tie. But right now, Trump is competitive here. That's blue Virginia. That's blue New Hampshire. So the warnings to the White House are Donald Trump could conceivably, if the current dynamics in the race hold, get 330 or more electoral votes. That's what they believe.
How about that? But you know my stance, don't you? You know my stance. It's not who's voting. It's who's counting the votes. So nobody anymore is believing the rhetoric by guys like Bakari Sellers. And actually, what you've started to see is CNN flip. I mean, they have. It's almost like the rats are leaving a sinking ship. Look, I don't know what's going to happen with Joe Biden, but I did hear last night, and this made sense to me. If Nancy Pelosi today comes out and says, Joe, you got to go, and Nancy is apparently leaking things left and right, Nancy told Joe you might think about stepping down. Nancy showed him all of the data. So that comes from somewhere, and of course it comes from Pelosi. If you read something today, you know it's leaked by the person who wants it out. That's kind of simple. But all of a sudden, Von Jones and others on CNN are all over Trump. What Von Jones say? Hey, look, Trump hasn't been slowed by a bullet, and Biden is slowed by a virus. Joe Biden, apparently, he's got COVID. And the amazing thing is, and I thought we had it in our rundown. I don't know that we do. I thought that we did. I thought we had Joy Reid and Jen Psaki telling us all how absolutely it compares. Donald Trump getting shot in the ear and Joe Biden, if he beats COVID, it compares two tough older men, two older men that are out here being older men, beating back adversity. I don't know about you, but I had COVID 3 times, and I'm an older gentleman. I had COVID when it first came out. I got it in South Dakota because an idiot at ESPN said, "Hey, Dad, we're doing a tournament out there. You good to go?" What am I going to say? Yeah, I'll go. Got COVID at a time when COVID was just starting, at a time when South Carolina was raging with COVID. So I got it on Thanksgiving. Wasn't great. Lost my taste, lost my smell, didn't like that. But hey, then I got it again. We had all these tests around here, then I got it again. And I got to tell you, as a 3-time survivor of COVID, as a warrior of COVID, it ain't close to getting shot in the head. It ain't close to having your ear clipped off. It ain't close. And I am an elderly man at 62 years old, spry as hell, all Viagra'd up, all testosterone up, all kind of different parts that are fake, one in the knee and one in the hip, but I'm still an older man. And speaking as an older man, I got to tell you, beating COVID, I'll take every time. Getting shot in the head, I don't think I want it. No, in fact, I'm sure I don't want it. So all these people are out here saying, well, it's the same thing. It's no different than all these people out here trying to tell us that Joe Biden's been good for this country. Joe Biden hadn't been good for nothing. Joe Biden hadn't even been good for his own kids, his own grandkids, his first wife. He'd been good for the nanny, though, who has become Jill Biden. I mean, when they started stooping and Biden left his wife and then, started hanging with this one, been good for her. I mean, somehow, some way, they part $270,000 a year into multi-million-dollar mansions. That's hard to reconcile. That's tough. But anyway, telling me how good Biden has been for this country is like telling me, well, you know what? There's no different. No different an older man beating COVID than an older man coming back from a shot in the head. I don't know about you guys, but I don't need a shot in the head. Ever. Under any circumstances. I don't need a shot in the ear. I don't need buckshot in the ass. I don't need to be grazed by a bullet. I would prefer COVID. Just me. Hey, J.J. Redick, he's going DEI. He's hired Lindsey Harding as the Lakers' first ever female assistant coach. There you go. You got Nate McMillan, former head coach. You got Scotty Brooks, former head coach. Well, Lindsey Harding is and was the number one overall WNBA draft pick. She had been an assistant coach, player development coach, and a scout for the Kings and the Philadelphia 76ers. Think this is a good move or just another DEI hire? Well, it's certainly a DEI hire. It's a good move. Who cares? See, people forget that back in the 90s, Bridgette Locke, was the first woman's assistant coach that I ever saw. She was on the bench of the University of Kentucky when Rick Pitino took over to resurrect that program after the scandal of Eddie Sutton. Pitino took over, hired a woman. Women have been assistant coaches, and really it's just a matter of time before this woman here becomes a head coach in the NBA. Look, there's a woman on the Pacers staff named Jenny Buchek, and I watch Jenny Buchek during a game. It's what I do. I watch coaches, assistant coaches, I watch benches, that kind of thing. Jenny Buchek coaching her ass off. I don't know if she's any good or not. A lot of people say she's the reason Tyrese Halliburton and Andrew Nembhard got pretty good for the Pacers. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know it. But anyway, she looked like she was coaching her brains out, looked really engaged, and looked like the players respected her. And that's what you need, right? That's all you need. So long story short, good for everybody involved. Good for Harding. Really good for Harding. She gets to be on the front row of an NBA bench. Good for the Lakers. They get the pub that comes with a woman. Yeah,